just going to share a little bit about what we're kind of calling the revitalization plan for Delta Delta. Excited to hopefully many of you are part of the journey already, and if you're not, we hope that you're part of the journey with us, because if we think about what we learned from our years at 202 Littleton and then years beyond, it's made us the men that we are, the friends, the husbands, the brothers, and so this is our opportunity to help bring some of that back. And I was reflecting last night or this morning of how many organizations are we a part of where the president turns over every year, your executive group turns over every 6 months, and your chairman, your board turns over every couple of years, and we expect them to be successful. Very few. Yet we've been able to do that over the years with beloved Sigma Chi and Delta Delta. But I think we come to an inflection point here where with COVID and kind of what brought us to this point is an opportunity for us to take what we've learned in business, in community and philanthropy, and dive back in and help the undergrads really overcome what many of us invested in with our organizations to help bring them back from those year and a half where we were kind of remote for many organizations to what we are today. So I think this is not unusual for any organization, and I'm excited to be part of this. So just to give you a bit of a background, right? When you think about, there's fewer students that are actually going to college. Mental health and wellness is a big challenge for, frankly, all of us, regardless of whether they graduated in '58 or we're going to graduate in 2024. Academic success is a challenge for the undergrads as well, with the stress that we as parents, and I'm a parent of a Purdue Sigma Chi, and the stress that we put under with them. But interestingly enough, the other thing is like 72% of college students are unhappy with the jobs they take 2 years out. That's pretty alarming, right? So those are opportunities for us as we think about our organization to build the character and the leadership that can not only change Sigma Chi, but Purdue and ultimately the world. I was back at Purdue and I talked with some folks that are on President Cheng's staff, and we were talking about how it's great, we're the cradle of quarterbacks at Purdue, right? And at Delta Delta, the cradle of quarterbacks. We got one right here, the cradle of catchers as well, right? From the baseball standpoint, we're also the cradle of corporate executives and corporate success. And so I think this is our opportunity. And if you really think about Greek life overall, right, at Purdue, there's a lot of people going, does Purdue want Greek life? Are they supportive of this? And the answer is, I will say unequivocally, yes. The Dean of Students office, who I've had a chance to meet with and got invited to be part of their kind of a small group of other fraternity and sorority members, they want us to be there. Not only for the fun and social, but I'll show you what we give back to Purdue. Not just of our time, talents, but also our resources. But interestingly enough, if you look at the Greek life and co-op life, 69% of them graduate in 4 years compared to Purdue-wide 60%. And you have the anomalous Eric Morgan who graduates in 3 years. I made that up, graduating in 4.5. My parents thought engineering was a 5-year program, so they were excited that I got out early. Much to their dismay that they realized, it was a 4-year program after that. So when you think about what we as a Greek system have given back, right, we do at Purdue, we deliver more. These are some recent things. There's a lot of Sigma Chi names, and this is just on Gavin Phillips' own internet search, but we give back of our time, talents, and resources at a rate that is unheard of to Purdue University beyond the people that are non-Greeks. And so this is why Purdue is special. Why Delta Delta is special is, you may have seen, Steve Kostler just had the Campton course. He made a nice donation, so the next time we're back, we get to play on a course that's named after a SIG. Many buildings across Purdue are named after Sigma Chi's from what they've done. We've got a lot of history there that allows us to inherit an amazing past, right? So as we think about some pictures maybe of old of time around the fireplace and fireside chats, or sitting and getting called to the bricks in the dining room, which I think Eric said we can add next year a fake fireplace up here. So come with your jokes and your stories and be prepared. I'm giving you a year advance notice. Or whether it's blue formal. But the reality is the undergrads that are juniors today and the sophomores today haven't had that experience because of COVID. Also amidst some trouble that we've been in as an undergrad fraternity. This isn't terrible trouble, and David can talk through this if you want, but it's some alcohol infractions that, we had too much beer at a party or we didn't have certain things, but they're things that culminated over a period of time. But we have to own that past, and I think the undergrads have said, we're gonna own it, and what are we gonna do now moving forward? But how many people remember blue formal from when they were there, right? Raise the hands, right? So, or a spontaneous dance. I don't know if they had those back in the 60s or 70s, where it was just a Thursday night and you found out you had to go get a date for that night. So, but we did that while we were there. Or hosting some other type of formal at the house. They've not had the chance to do that in the last 3 years. So their Sigma Chi experience has been different than ours. And that's because of, again, trouble that came before they got there. So it's fair to say their experience hasn't been what ours might have been. And so this is our opportunity to say, we can't change that, but what we can do is make the next semester for them and the next year and those who are juniors and seniors in high school, their Sigma Chi experience more similar to what we have. And so, what we've talked about is let's not dwell on the past. Let's think about what we can do from this day forward, right? You've probably heard the adage of, if you want a tree that's going to give you shade, the best time to plant that was 25 years ago. And the second best time is today. And so that's what we're doing. So our goals with this program are really to take what we know as leaders and titans of business in philanthropy and community and think about how we would attack that as an undergrad chapter. How do we go and bring back academic excellence? The young men that are there have a 3.0 average GPA. What's interesting though is the average Greek GPA is like 3.15. It's significant, it's going up. So again, we're doing well. I did not graduate with a 3.0, so I would be bringing them down. However, things have changed, and so as things change, we have to raise our expectations too. How do we build around these pillars of philanthropy and live a giving mindset every day? And how can we think about recruiting men all the time, not just during those 2 weeks of rush? How do we think about pledgeship and new member orientation, right? Pledgeship of 26 weeks that we may have experienced is gone. There's a lot of fraternities out there that say, here's your bid, Gavin, you're now initiated. Sigma Chi has made the decision, we will not do that nationally, so we should be very thankful of that. But they've also said, you need to comply with these 5 weeks, and this is what that program should look like. Doesn't mean we can't learn the rich history of Delta Delta, but it does mean that we have to comply with certain rules. And things that you're not willing to do as a brother, you can't ask somebody to do. And that's really fair, right? I shared with somebody how many organizations that you've ever been a part of that you would call successful recruit only when there's an opening. Probably not. They're recruiting and looking for talent all the time. And when they are, they give them a whole bunch of information and they challenge them to learn that. And when they don't learn that, they kind of get a little angry with them, right? They maybe get, vocal with it. And then they ask them, come clean my office and clean my bathroom at my office. Like, that's just not the world that we are in today. Yet there are avenues for us to create that same level of respect, understanding, and learning that we can do from what we've done in businesses out there today, of creating high performance teams, of people that are running to the fire and want to be part of this. And so that's what this revitalization plan is about, is taking those things that we've done in the business world and in our communities and pouring those back in to help these young men build that. Great news is the Sigma Chi fraternity has an amazing foundation and some resources that I'll talk to. I know Sam's going to talk to as well. So I think the mental and physical wellness piece, as a almost 50-year-old, you roll your eyes and maybe go, all right, I don't know about this. But the reality is that there are challenges and pressures that people in their 20s are put under that we didn't have, right? As soon as you say something, people are texting everybody whether that was a good thing or not, right? We see it in businesses. We see it that's posted out there. So David and Carter are dealing with challenges that frankly we never had. Now there's benefits too of the way that they can communicate. So what we've done is we've started a program that has really, we'll call it 3 phases, right? One was, let's bring the groups together. Let's bring some alumni and undergrads together and talk about some of the challenges as we think about those pillars of academic excellence, philanthropy, recruiting men of character, and all those. And so we did that. In early December, we actually brought, the whole chapter came in, and there were 15 alumni that came as facilitators to help guide the discussion. Not say this is what you must do, but here's some things that we should really consider. And what does an amazing pledge program and new membership program look like? What does living philanthropy look like? And so we brainstormed, we talked, we actually heard from a couple of alums who talked about their experiences, good and bad. And we did some team building. A lot of the brothers then took some time and went out in the community afterwards, and some of them gave some things to some of the homeless shelters. Others gave food to other places and donated of their time and talent. So it was this chance to take something we did there and also go out into the community. It was a great first start. But this was a planning session for us about how we move forward and getting the buy-in of the undergrads. So since then, so then the undergrads actually took all the stuff that they did. They broke into big groups and they broke into small groups and talked about, hey, then brought back to the chapter and said, hey, we think if we do academics really well, or we do social responsibility really well, this is what it looks like. And this is how we can do better than we did before. So what does this look like as we move forward, right? This is where your help would be very welcome, is we don't get to this point by letting David and Carter run this. We're hoping that we have, right now we have over, actually I think update is 65 alums that have signed up to be mentors for the young men that are in the chapter. And they can counsel them on, my girlfriend broke up with me and this is a relationship. I'm struggling with school. I'm holding the risk manager office and everybody hates me at the fraternity, right? How do you deal with those things? Hey, I'm thinking about a summer internship and I'd like to learn about what that looks like. So we're aligning, people with, hey, maybe they're from the same hometown. But the idea is for us as alums to give the years of knowledge that we've had and the things we wish we would have known back to these young men to help them. And I know for a fact that when I tell my son something, he rolls his eyes. But when he hears the same thing from maybe Brad Dewey or Craig Johnson, he'll be like, that's a great idea, right? So this is our opportunity to do that for the young men that are there. And so we're gonna put together, I know some people have been through some formal mentor training, but you don't need anything special to this. You just need a willingness to pour back in and dedicate a phone call every 2 weeks to check in and see, hey Carter, how's it going? You guys had a rough chapter the other night, I heard. What can we do to think about the next one there? So we're also creating an alumni advisory board. So when I was consul, Phil Steele was the chapter advisor and it was phenomenal. But when you think about it over the years, we've asked a lot of that one role. And we've asked a lot of that one role that Tom has to hold as the House Corps president. And I think this is our opportunity to say, what more can I do to this place that's been so special to me, that's helped develop me as the man, the person that I am today. And so we're creating an alumni advisory board that is going to be focused on those different areas. 2 or 3 alumni that are going to be focused on academic excellence, working with the scholarship chair to make sure we're always thinking about that. So Nate Gustus, who's the current chapter advisor, doesn't have to think about, I have to worry about all this stuff. And oh, by the way, I'm a husband, a father, and this is a volunteer job. So this is where I think it's our opportunity to give back and volunteer a couple hours that we can give to that. And if you say, hey, it's too much for me, then bring a pledge brother along to say, great, now there's 2 of us that can do this. So we've got 20 alumni that have signed up for that. And then the other is bringing back the fireside chat theme, right? Where it's just, hey, twice a month, we're gonna have a virtual opportunity and an in-person opportunity to get in the Great Hall or get online and learn from a brother about different topics. Hey, I think I wanna go into medicine, and there's no real pre-med program at Purdue, yet we have a lot of people that have been in that. There's a ton of attorneys that have come out of Purdue. Many of them have engineers, many of them maybe studied social life in Harry's while they were there, right? So what can we do to help them think about some of those things? How you gain support in an organization, financial responsibility, leading and manages. Like, think about the things that you go, man, I wish I had known this as a 22-year-old. That's probably an awesome topic to talk to these young men about for 30 minutes and pour into them. And how you network, how you use a group like this to network. So again, we've got a group, and if you go, hey, I'd love to talk about this, how I translated my career in athletics into the business world, could be another one too. So as we think about this and moving forward, the great news is there's a lot of stuff we can do as a chapter, but there's also a lot of stuff that Sigma Chi has already built for us. We have a PhD that's on staff at the Sigma Chi headquarters and a whole team that has built some amazing leadership programs that we can leverage. I think what we do at Purdue and Delta Delta was pretty special, right? Selfishly, they created all of us. But over the last 14 years, I've also been a part of the Horizons Leadership Program, not in some giant capacity, but as a small group leader, sitting at a table with young men for 7 days. And I will say that I see these Sigma Chi's come in from all across the country with their chip on their shoulder, like, I'm a Southern Cal Sigma Chi, and I'm a Brown, or I'm a Delta Delta, and they think they're too cool for school, and how can these guys be as cool as I am? They leave at the end of that week knowing more about themselves, and I hear them say in their own words, I am closer to these men than I am the people I went through pledgeship and have known for 2 years. So what Sigma Chi has helped us do, and Keith has been a big part of this in helping us build this leadership program that's now called the Huntsman Leadership Program, and Keith with the Kroc Leadership Institute is something that we can build around what we want these young men to be. Again, I've been a part of this, and if you say, hey, I'd love to learn more, always looking for more people to be there, it's a time commitment. And my wife always rolls her eyes because I'm gone for 10 days, but she's like, you come back a better person because you're teaching things that are really important and make you a better husband, father, and business leader. So I'm going to just show you a couple things that are the hallmark of what we hope to do. We're going to try and take that whole thing, and it would be amazing if we can get the whole chapter at Purdue to go through that as they think about the path ahead, to take 50 men and go, for 1 week you're going to live this, because you haven't had the same experience that we all did, and we can't fix that, but we can with a program like this. But it's what you do after that, and there's a leadership program that we're thinking about, not thinking about, that's already been laid out. So where we're going to start on March 24th and 5th with a preview of what this could look like. So learning about your values and what is important to you, who you are as a leader and how that gets communicated, how you communicate with others, how you become a more versatile leader. And then living well. These are all modules that will be delivered. The design is over the next 2 years of your college experience to understand how do you be resilient as a person individually and as a leader. Career exploration, right? There's a Sigma Chi that's developed a program that's really helping people figure out what they want to do. Because I was a civil engineer at Purdue and I interned right before I graduated, and I said, this kind of stinks. I don't think I want to do this. So I didn't know Harold. I didn't know Harold at the time, who could have hired me. So I went in the Marine Corps for 4 years, and then have been in sales. But helping understand what that looks like, and maybe having those decisions earlier where you can make career pivots or taking courses and classes. So these are programs. I'm not going to go through the details of these, but I will show you this first one that's coming up that, again, has been modified for us at Purdue that we're going to deliver on a Friday and Saturday. And if you go, oh, I'd love to see that and come back and be part of it, we have facilitators that are coming in, and what we're looking for is just anybody that says, I want to be in there and offer a real world perspective to these young men. Somebody's going to run the actual facilitation, so you're there talking about when have your values been challenged, and can you think about an issue that you could share. So if you go, hey, I'd love to be part of that. But the idea there is, we've built a program, and again, I can't say we, Sigma Chi headquarters has built this program, and it's been tried, true, and tested. So from a Horizons perspective, right, if we can get to this, and David and I were talking about when could we do this? When can you get everybody to do this for a week? if we did this right when they ended school, before they all go home, and we invested in this, right? Wouldn't it be an amazing experience to think about all summer about all the things now I want to do back to make my chapter, my university, my community, both at home and at Purdue, something better. And I'll send out after this a couple of videos. I'm not going to play the video that they have here, but last 2 years ago I did this, and there was a group of young men that did it, and I had them video themselves. What do you want yourself to learn and remember from this experience? And it was amazing to just rewatch what they took away from 5 short days of being out and really diving into who they are as a Sigma Chi, as a leader, and what they want to get. So, and again, I've had the chance to go through military training, Sigma Chi training, business training with a Fortune 500 company, and there's nothing that would compare to this. I led leadership development for Boston Scientific, and we didn't hold a candle to what this program does. And so I think there's an opportunity for us not to just help these young men at the chapter, but the broader Greek system at Purdue. And we've talked a little bit about what we can do for the athletic system too, because they're dealing with even a higher level of intensity and pressure and things that they're delivering. So, we'll send out these slides. And I know a lot of people are data driven, but Sigma Chi, because they've done this over the last 14 years, has data to look at, hey, how important has this been? And I'll give my own anecdotal feedback. The first year that I actually did the training, I didn't really probably know what I was doing, but I just talked to one man who's now 36 years old. He's the director of training for Cisco. And he said, hands down, there has been no week more impactful in my life than that week. And that's the guy that's leading the training for Cisco. So that means I didn't screw it up that week either. So if you're going, hey, I could be a leader and a facilitator for this, I think everybody could do it. I mentioned earlier about support. We do have the support of Purdue, of our national headquarters, with what we're trying to do. Down here is a group pictured here of Delta Gamma, Delts. These are alumni that are part of a fraternity advisory board with the Dean of Students Office that's also helping try and make some of these changes. Because the rules have gotten pretty strict, right? If you think about COVID, when COVID first came out, we were all scared to sit this close to each other, right? Well, at Purdue, it was that way too. And if people were sitting this close, you'd get reported. Well, that same thing is carried over to the world of social and alcohol and pledgeship and things like that. The Dean of Students Office knows that's an unhealthy world, and the goal is how do we live a healthy and well college experience. And so they're partnering with a group of people who are helping them do that across the entire fraternity system. The other thing I'll say is Sigma Chi's invested a ton of resources. There's mental health and physical health resources, both for undergrads and even us alums, that you can call in that are free. Like you can get free counseling that I've paid hundreds of dollars for, that Sigma Chi's paid for all of you and all of our undergrads. It's an amazing investment, but again, some things that we need to do a better job of knowing that are out there. And then I'll just leave us with thinking big, right? What if we were able to take this program that is designed for our undergrads to make them better Sigma Chi's, better leaders, better community, and we offered that to the broader Greek system at Purdue, and you'll hear Jeff talk a little bit about maybe the opportunity to offer that to our athletics program. Because for us to win doesn't mean the betas or the delts or the kappas have to lose. We're all looking to do the same thing. Find people of character, quality, make them good humans that give back to whatever organization, Purdue, and whatever community. And many of us here, we're golfing with the betas in half an hour, right? So they're ultimately doing the same thing. And I know when we were undergrads, there may have been that rivalry, but let's think differently about that. So, we talked about this is what if we could create this Horizons program is now delivered out in Snowbird, Utah. But what if we could create that along the innovation corridor that Purdue's planning? What if we as Sigma Chi's, what if we as a Greek system could build something that people across the US are now coming to for Purdue, for businesses, and to get that experience there? That'd be a pretty amazing gift for us to leave as a legacy for Purdue, for Sigma Chi, and for the broader Greek system. So I pulled up a couple pictures because I think this is also interesting. So I did find an old picture of Carlson and Kroc from a pledge dance back in 1982. What's interesting is these guys weren't in the same pledge class, yet they've been business partners for years. So we often think about this pledge class piece, but it's really about Sigma Chi across the board. And I loved what Mark said is I can't overstate that the success in the business world is from what we learned as Sigma Chi as undergraduates. And he goes on to talk about collecting trusted SIGs along the way to work with us on how we created a vision, mission, values, objectives, and it was a playbook. That's ultimately what we want to deliver to the young men that are there. And whether they're SIGs or we could do that with a broader Greek system, that'd be a pretty special thing that I think we could do. Well, and then I have to embarrass my own pledge brother here because from Terry Courts, isn't that where you lived, Eric? Yeah. Terry Courts, we got a couple others. The palatial Terry Courts. It is no longer, but again, like a guy that's poured into, and a humble guy who's embarrassed probably that I'm talking about this, but that's a picture of Terry Courts, and I remember actually seeing ice cream stuff thrown up against windows and things like that back with, there were a few guys in the pledge class that lived there, to just pouring back into Sigma Chi, into Purdue tomorrow. If you're here, you'll see, right, of the opportunity that we have. So I want to just say thanks from all of us for not letting the degenerates of Terry Courts drag you down and giving back to this. So, I think for us it's really about Bernie. I found an old one of you too, if you look here, from the debris. If you think about the years, right, for us, 1857, Sigma Chi. 1875, brought to Purdue. 1911, our fraternity was built at Purdue, rebuilt in 2007, which so many people here were a part of. I think the real question for all of us is the younger version of who you are today as a sophomore or junior or senior in high school. And are we willing to step up to give them the experience that we have and maybe do it even better? And this is the young man right here. I guess you were a class officer in student government as well as all the other stuff, basketball player and all that thing. So leading to his early career and now what he's done. So, those lessons are ones that I think we can all look back and say, those are reasons why. And I think this is our opportunity to dive back in.